So let's talk about old guns for a little bit. These are a couple of my favorite old guns, and what I mean by old gun is just old designs. So this is the 1911 design and Smith & Wesson Generation 3 semi-automatic. The 1911 has some bells and whistles on it. I did some things to it. It's not a stock MC operator. I got some goodies on the internals and on the externals. So this is a gunsmith gun, and it's been reworked. It's pretty much runs like a Cadillac, nice and smooth all over. This, however, hasn't been redone. This is just a standard Smith & Wesson 5906 9mm classic design. Both of these are all metal, old school all the way, and they run awesome. There's something to be said about the old school firearms. I really like these, so go ahead and put down in the comment section what you like, and that's of course after you like and subscribe. You know the YouTube spiel. But anyway, talking about these, I really like the design of them. They're fast shooting. They're very smooth shooting. They come from just a classic time frame when, you know, the thought in the handgun design was a little bit different than today. Everything is just polymer today for the most part, which nothing wrong with. I like the polymer guns. A lot of good guns out there, but something has to be said about the old school metal guns. Had a little bit more heft to them. Not too bad, but it just, you know, just the feel was different. Other guns that, you know, that I've had that I wish I didn't get rid of is, for example, is the old Ruger P series handguns, like the P85 or P89. Those things were old metal alloy guns, and they are just tanks. They're smooth and they just run and run and run. I wish I still had mine, but I got rid of them. Just, you know, I really regret getting rid of a lot of things that I used to have, but it is what it is. Life is life, and I hope to get them back in an inventory in some way. But I have a little place in my heart for the old classic stuff. When you're looking at an older gun, you know, you'll realize they don't have rails for the most part. Some of them do, but a lot of them don't have rails. It's kind of a basic, you know, what you see is what you get. There's not a huge aftermarket availability for a lot of them. So, what you're getting is just insane reliability for the most part. Like I said, these guns, in my experience, some have had different experiences with the third generation Smiths. But I've owned this one. I had a 915. I had a couple other Smiths, and they've all were just tack drivers, and they ran like sewing machines. They just kind of kept going and going and going and going and going. 1911s, your experience may vary. This one, I put some money into it. I got it already customized, and then I put a little bit more money into it. So this thing is, you know, it's not a stock MC operator. This thing runs very well. I mean, I had to put a little bit of money into it. These things are sometimes the best kept secret. So you'll see them in pawn shops. You'll see them in gun stores that have used firearms and whatnot. So when you see this stuff, don't hesitate to look at it. And even if they're dinged up a little bit, or they got a little bit of surface wear on them, the bluing's worn off, or maybe there's just a little bit of surface rust or whatnot, really pay attention to the internals. Look at how smooth it is. Look at the bore. And if you can get it at even more of a discount, go for it. If you're looking for just a good utilitarian gun that just works. Keep in mind, older guns, you may have to replace the springs on them, just depending on how used and how old they are. But that's still commonplace for most types of firearms. You can go out and get springs and all that good stuff, and that won't be any issues there. You know, as far as the models go with these types of firearms, you have the third generation Smiths, you have the 1911s, you have Berettas. That's kind of a classic design. And you have stuff like the old CZs, the old CZ 75s. There's a lot of CZ handguns that are still out there. But look, if you find one of the old school used CZ 75s, like the old surplus ones or whatnot, those things are epically good. Awesome handguns. I've always liked the CZ line. Browning high power. That's another good example. The Smith & Wesson model, was it the Model 39 and the Model 59? Those are good examples. The older 1911s, depending on which one you get, some of the older Colts are really good, some of them not so good, just depending on, what you're getting into. Um, I'm trying to think of some other brands that are kind of the old school steel handguns. There's a lot out there. There's some of the other ones like Firestar. You don't hear Firestar mentioned much anymore, but that's kind of a best kept secret. I've seen a lot of the old school Firestar firearms that actually run really good. They're kind of one of those that nobody looks at. They're like, what the heck is this? But they actually run good, believe it or not. The old surplus guns, if you want to get into like the old Makarovs and the old 380s, like the CZ82, the Makarov, there's a whole slew of them, the Polish P64, all that stuff. Those old surplus guns, they're not as cheap as they used to be, so I'm not sure how much. You could probably still find a good one. Back in the day, those things were just great little street guns, little concealed carry guns, really popular for a while. I think there's a lot of people that still carry them, but for a while it was just really popular. I used to carry a few. I used to carry a Makarov back in the day. Just have it 9x18, and I believe it was either Silver Bear or Brown Bear made actual hollow point ammunition for it. A little 9x18 Makarov. So I was like, oh, it's kind of cool. So I carried one for a while. I thought it was the coolest thing. But those are just examples. Just keep your eyes open. I'd actually, here in the near future, I'd actually like to go around, and it might be something really fun to do, is go around and check out some of the used handguns that are out there, some of the older handguns that are still good self-defense handguns, and maybe see if I can find some good deals somewhere, purchase a few, one or two or whatever, at super cheap, and then just rework it, make sure it's good to go. If I need to replace the springs in it, go ahead and pop some new springs in it. It's still commonplace online. You can order spring sets anywhere. And just get out there and just shoot it. Get a holster for it, shoot it, have fun. You don't have to have the neatest, coolest piece of plastic out there in order to be well defended. I know that's the kind of trend. Everything went to the polymer firearms, the super tactical looking. I mean, with all the super modified Glocks and M&Ps and HKs and everything that I'm seeing on Instagram and in real life and on YouTube. I mean, red dots, all that cool stuff. I really like those firearms. Those things are awesome. Great performance out of those things. But something has to be said that just getting a firearm for $200 or so, finding that deal and just making sure it runs good, throw some hollow point ammo in it, and just run it. It's kind of a neat thing. I'll kind of show you here. These are old. I don't know the year of this, but just to kind of, hopefully you can see, I got the light on, so hopefully, there you go. There's feed ramp, there's barrel, a little bit of wear on the outside of the barrel just from use. These are old Mekgar mags. I don't have original Smith & Wesson mags, but I love the Mekgar mags. Everything is just perfect on this. The only thing is there's a little bit of age on the back dots here on the sight. I haven't bothered to get those cleaned up a little bit yet and put some new white paint in them to kind of brighten them up yet. I didn't feel it was much of a need. But everything, it's kind of funny. This is kind of an old, you don't see the adjustable sights on combat handguns. It's kind of a thing that I don't really see anymore, but that's just kind of these old school features, that you see on these. The old slide mounted safety. Not my most favorite thing, but at least this one is mounted and good. So when I draw the gun, it flips right off. So it's kind of pretty ergonomic. But anyway, just kind of showing a little bit up close. This one right here, let me see if you can look inside there. Everything's nice and polished in here, looking good. It's got some extra stuff on here. It doesn't have has a Wilson Combat Guide rod, some Wilson Combat internals, some other goodies in here, but this is just an example. This is more of a standard MC operator, old 1911 design, but with some newer features thrown in. Had the combat sights and all that good stuff. The hopefully this video isn't too boring. I mean, I know I'm not the most exciting guy out there, but I guess the point is kind of a little bit of a show and tell, but a little bit of a go out there and check out the old crap and see what you can find, and you may find some really, really cool stuff. I'm still in the market again. I'm still looking for an old school original used CZ75. That's going to be hard to find, I think, in my area, because when people buy them, they typically just don't get rid of them. But those are just awesome, awesome handguns. But anyway, enough yammering out of me. I'm already gone over 10 minutes. So feel free to comment, put your thoughts on this stuff. Sometimes old school is the best school. So stay safe as always, and talk at you later.